This episode is brought to you by our new podcast, Small Town, Bigfoot. In the woods around Cold Spring, Washington, there's a clearing where trees are inexplicably bent and broken. Local legends say these woods are haunted and no one dares walk there at night. So, when three friends decide to make a campfire in the middle of the clearing, they're in for a scary surprise. This is the first episode of our brand new podcast, Small Town, Bigfoot. Available now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Every week we bring you a terrifying tale of a small town mystery. This week it's Sasquatch. Next week it'll be something else entirely. New episodes drop every Wednesday. Listen now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That's Small Town, Bigfoot. They called him the Artisan, not because he sculpted clay or carved wood, but because he built death. In a forgotten district on the edge of the city, behind a rusted iron gate and a crumbling brick facade, the Artisan worked alone. His workshop was silent, save for the ticking of clocks and the hiss of welding torches. No one saw him enter. No one saw him leave. But every few months, someone disappeared and a new piece appeared in the gallery. The gallery wasn't public. It was whispered about in underground circles, passed between collectors like a cursed relic. Each piece was a life-sized figure, human in shape, but wrong in texture. Skin that looked like wax but bled when scratched. Eyes that followed you, mouths that twitched. They weren't sculptures. They were people transformed. Detective Mara Ellison had seen horror before. She'd worked the ritual killings in Detroit, the mass grave in Arizona. But nothing prepared her for the artisan's work. She was assigned to the case after a senator's daughter vanished. Her last known location, a warehouse near the artisan's district. Mara entered the building with a team. What they found wasn't a crime scene. It was a museum. Rows of figures stood in silence. Some were posed in agony, others in serenity. One had its hands stitched to its face. Another had its spine exposed, threaded with copper wire. In the center stood a new piece. It was her. Not literally, but the resemblance was uncanny. Same jawline, same scar above the eyebrow, same badge number etched into the collarbone. Mara stared at it. The figure stared back. Then it blinked. The team evacuated. The building was sealed, but Mara couldn't sleep. She dreamed of the gallery, of the stitched hands, of the blinking eyes. She returned alone. Inside, the lights were off. The figures had moved. They were closer. She heard breathing. Not hers, not human. Then she saw him, the artisan. He wore a mask made of shattered mirrors. His hands were gloved in flesh. He didn't speak. He simply pointed to an empty pedestal. Her pedestal. Mara ran, but the door was gone. The windows were bricked. The air grew thick, like breathing through wet cloth. She collapsed. When she woke, she was in her apartment. Everything normal, except for one thing. Her reflection didn't match. It smiled when she didn't. She checked her skin. It felt synthetic. Her voice echoed unnaturally. Her heartbeat was silent. She wasn't Mara anymore. She was a piece. A week later, a new figure appeared in the gallery. It wore a detective's coat. Its eyes were wide. Its mouth was sewn shut. The artisan had made another and the pedestal next to it. Still empty, waiting. From the creators of Small Town, Bigfoot comes a podcast that will haunt your nightmares. Welcome to Darkest Fears. 3 strangers, a campfire, one very dark secret. From the creators of Small Town, Bigfoot Darkest Fears drops you into terrifying tales that dig deep into our darkest secrets and deepest fears. The perfect podcast to listen to if you dare, while camping out under the stars. New episodes premiere every Thursday on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Listen now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can't make this stuff up. For some people, life imitates art. For others, it's the other way around. Just ask Iris Clay, who started painting serial killers as a hobby and then got framed for murder. Or the artist who took a job recreating famous artworks only to find himself haunted by the originals. And then there's Harry, who bought a mysterious artifact from a traveling salesman and then unleashed an ancient evil upon the world. These are just a few of the stories in our new podcast, Can't Make This Stuff Up, where unbelievable true stories are scarier than fiction. New episodes premiere every Friday on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Listen now on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Mara had stared at the faces of countless killers, but none so unsettling as the artisan. His eyes were pools of madness, his skin stretched tight over sharp cheekbones. Whatever he'd done to survive in this world, whatever horrors he'd faced, they'd left him broken. And yet he'd found beauty in the brokenness. With each layer he applied, he'd drawn closer to the truth, closer to the thing that made them all tick. Now he looked at his latest creation. There was something missing. He felt it in his gut, the way a shark smells blood, but what was it? His eyes fell to the blank canvas beside him, the same size as the figures, but without a face. He reached for a scalpel, scraped away the backing, revealing the white underneath. Then he began to draw. He knew her better than she knew herself, studied the tilt of her head, the way her eyes crinkled when she smiled, how her hair fell across her shoulder. He'd watched her every move, memorized the way she held herself, the way she moved. He'd even stolen a strand of her hair from the station house bathroom. And as he mixed colors, trying to capture the flecks in her irises, he remembered the scent of her, cinnamon and regret, and something else, something ancient and cold that clung to her despite the lavender hand cream she tried to cover it with. He wanted to bottle that smell, suspended in the wax so it would cling to the figure, draw her back. But nothing could hold that essence except her own skin. And so the artisan did what he did best. He took skin, not just any skin, though. Oh no, that would be easy. Where was the challenge in that? He needed skin that would glow. He needed skin that would bleed. So he went to the gallery, stood before the rows of figures, and let the moonlight reflect off their glassy surfaces. Then he selected his favorite piece, the one he'd spent months working on, the one he'd poured everything into, the one that would become his masterpiece. He plunged a needle into the side, squeezed a vile substance onto the wound. As the skin melted and turned black, he scooped it into a bowl, added more of the vile goo, and mixed it in. Then he dipped his fingers into the mess and smeared it across the canvas. Finally, the face was complete. And as he stepped back to admire it, he thought, yes, now it will come home. But the moment he turned to leave, he heard sirens. He hadn't heard them before because they were inside. But now the sound was deafening. The police were here. He felt a surge of triumph. Let them come. Let them see what he'd done. Let them understand the perfection he'd achieved. Maybe then they'd appreciate it. Maybe then they'd set it free. Mara pushed open the door, gun drawn. She expected to see a massacre, a bloodbath, anything but this. The place was empty, eerily silent. In the center sat a single canvas. On it, a face, her face. Beside it lay a scalpel, a jar of black goo, and a handwritten note. It read, "Sorry, I couldn't say goodbye, but I have a feeling you won't be coming back. See you soon. Love, Artisan." Mara recognized the handwriting from the senator's file. She also recognized the substance from her own experiments. She turned the canvas to face the wall and holstered her weapon. It was over. She'd stopped the Artisan. She'd saved them all, or maybe it was just beginning. As the sun set outside, the gallery walls glowed red. The canvas shimmered. The face on it smiled. Then it blinked. Mara spun around, but it was too late. The Artisan was there. His eyes burned through her soul. His lips curled into a grotesque parody of a smile. "You shouldn't have come alone," he rasped. Then he lunged. When Mara woke, she was strapped to a chair. Across from her sat the artisan. At his feet lay a canvas. It was blank. He looked up as she stirred. "Ah, you're awake," he said. His voice sounded distorted, like it was coming from another room. "You shouldn't have come alone," he repeated. "What do you want?" she croaked. Her throat was raw. "To show you something," he replied. He reached for the scalpel and sliced his palm. Blood welled up, dripped onto the canvas. He picked up a paintbrush, dipped it into the crimson liquid, and began to paint. "Stop," Mara whispered, her voice cracking. "Please stop." But he kept painting. And as the blood dried, he added more and more layers, building a face, stretching it, contorting it, making it real. And as he worked, Mara screamed. She thrashed against her bonds, kicking, clawing, trying to get away, but it was no use. She was trapped, suspended between consciousness and oblivion, watching the artisan create his masterpiece. Then, as if from a great distance, she heard a voice. It was her voice. It was saying things she never would have said, doing things she never would have done. And as she listened, she realized with a jolt that the artisan wasn't just painting a face. He was painting her. He was painting her soul. He was painting her into existence. And as he added the finishing touches, as he blended the shadows and highlights, as he made the eyes gleam, she slipped away. And in her place stood a new being, something born of blood and bone and boundless terror. Something the artisan had created, something he had made to love him.